Here on Info, we give you a great blend of all. Local or foreign.
Number one talk station. I'm Di. It's 9 minutes gone past 4 p.m. and the discussions continue right now. And we're talking about the situation with the People's Democratic Party here in Rivers State, the sealing of its presidential campaign office. Now, this incident first commenced, if you will, or the news first broke. It was sometime last year, about the 22nd, 23rd or so. And this is one of the versions that's reported back then when this whole saga commenced, if you will. This one's caught to the cable. Rivers seals Atiku campaign office over violation of executive order. Now, here's a bit of that story. The Rivers government has sealed the campaign office of Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate in the state. The office, located in Port Harcourt, the state capital, was sealed on Friday. Now, the office was sealed on the directive of the state government following a court order. Calvin Ibiri, Wike spokesperson, confirmed the development to the cable, saying a state executive order in place prohibits the location of campaign offices in residential areas. Quote, the Rivers State government approached the court, which ordered that the place should be sealed up. The Rivers State Executive Order 22 prohibits the location of a political campaign office in a residential area. It was the court that ordered the place to be sealed up, end of quote. And Friday's development is the latest in a cycle of controversies involving Abubakar and Wike, a governor elected on the platform of the party. Now, once again, this was published December last year, and reports had it that maybe it wasn't sealed. We weren't quite clear on that, but there's some other reports on the subject matter. And this one goes, PDP presidential campaign office sealed again in Rivers. And the Rivers State Ministry of Physical and Planning and Urban Development has resealed the PDP presidential campaign office in GRA. A visit to the campaign office yesterday showed a caution tape was used to barricade the gate of the office while seats were placed at the gate and walls of the fence. You might remember the Atiku Okowa campaign office at number 32 on Nest Street, GRA Port Harcourt, was reportedly sealed in the early hours of Friday, 23rd December 2020 by officials of the Ministry of Urban Development and Physical Planning over failure to comply with the State Executive Order 21 and 22. However, the seal and caution tape reportedly was removed by an unknown person or persons. What exactly is the state of things right now? Was it ever unsealed officially or not? And I'm asking you, by the way, does Executive Order 22 serve the public good in Rivers State, especially as officials of the Rivers State government, including the spokesperson for the PDP in Rivers State right now, Chris Feinborn, has come out to say that Executive Order 22 is not about the PDP or the PDP's presidential campaign team or campaign council. Rather, it's about the good. It's about public good. It's about the interest of the people of Rivers State and ensuring that places in Port Harcourt, GRA, for example, are not defaced, especially residential areas are not defaced. And it's important to note as well that Executive Order 22 states that if a party, for example, wants to site this office in the residential area, they have to secure the permission of the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. So once again, I'm asking you, does Executive Order 22 serve the public good or public interest in Rivers State? I'd like to get your take on that. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. We're live on Twitter as well at Nigeria Info PH. The number to call will be given shortly and the line open. But for now, I've got joining me in the studio for this conversation as well, Dr. Leloonu Nwibubasa. He's a spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council here in Rivers State. Dr. Nwibubasa, good evening to you. Happy New Year. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Thank you, Dio. Very good evening to you and Happy New Year. And to all our listeners, Happy New Year to you.
Let's get right to it then. The first question I need to ask you this. Is the PDP one party in Rivers State? Because we hear that the PDP is doing this. For example, recently we heard that the People's Democratic Party has paid some amount of money to the Ministry of Education to allow it to use, schools for its campaigns, identify places where they want to use for the campaigns and all of that. And that it appears that for some PDP in Rivers State, things are going quite smoothly. Things are working out. They pay Ministry of Education. They're getting approvals to use schools for campaigns. But it appears another PDP is having its office being sealed. We hear, do I say veiled or subtle threats coming from individuals like the governor, for example, insisting that all political parties, including the PDP, must obey Executive Orders 21 and 22. And you hear there have been reports that some PDP members were attacked. They claim that other PDP members were the ones who mobilized or initiated or even directed the attack on them as the attack was going on. So once again, my question, is there one PDP in Rivers State, or do we have different PDPs in Rivers State?
Well, Dayo, thank you very much. First of all, let me make it very clear that PDP is a national party, and so Rivers State does not own PDP. And so PDP is one, both at all levels. There is no two PDP. If the schism you see in Rivers State today is just in the differences that has existed between the leader of the state, His Excellency the Governor, and the leadership of the party at the national level. And of course, his differences with the presidential candidate of the party. And so PDP is one. And whatever is happening in PDP is for the good of PDP, especially in Rivers State. I can't imagine campaigning for Atiku Abubakar to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we now expect that the House of Representatives and the Senate will be depleted of the 3 senatorial candidates from Rivers State who is supposed to support Atiku Abubakar when he wins, and then the 13 House of Rep members from here who is also to be in the National Assembly to support the president. So you can see that. So if payments are made for use of places for campaign for our senators to be and our House of Rep members that are also contesting, this is for the good of the party. So I want to appreciate the party at the state level having taken that burden of the candidates of the party that are running election. I think it's a good omen. The other issue of whether it covers the campaign for the presidential flag bearer, these are not issues we want to overflow. The answer today, the governor is still not comfortable to campaign for the presidential candidate because of the seeming differences between both of them. As at today, I can also tell you that the difference between our governor and the presidential candidate is personal, because PDP is one, and I know that all the candidates contesting for the various positions in PDP will eventually not only vote, but also tell their supporters to vote for the presidential candidate. So we are hoping and believing that before the day of the election, this very small personal issue between our governor and our presidential candidate will be resolved.
I'd like to go, into the issue of your campaign office, but we'll get to that in a moment. Just something off what you just said right now. There is a school of thought that posits that not just the Rivers State governor, but the G5 governors, of which, of course, the Rivers State governor is very much a part of, have gone too far. And there is no coming back from where they are right now as far as not supporting your party's presidential candidate is concerned. Do you share that?
Is that what the G5 said?
Not in those words.
Okay, the G5 has not at all any moment said that they were too far to return. What I've heard the G5 said is that PDP is their party and that they won't want to leave the party and no one can push them out of the party. That's what the G5 has maintained. If the G5 had the courage to leave the party, they would have left. Again, they don't see any justification why they should leave. And that's why they're still in the party. So there is no too far. In politics, people jump to another party and return to their party. But in this case, it is still an internal crisis. And the fact that they have not left since May that this G5 issue started, it means they are not willing to leave. And so I'm sure that we are going to find common grounds.
All right. Let's go to the main issue then, the issue of your party's presidential campaign office. Sometime late last year, about the 23rd, there was a report circulating that your office somewhere in GRA had been sealed by ministry officials here in Rivers State, urban physical planning ministry. And some other reports surfaced afterwards stating that it had been unsealed, of course, by unidentified persons. So there was maybe some uncertainty as to whether your campaign team, your campaign council forcefully unsealed, opened the place, or it was ministry officials who reopened the place. And then, of course, the holidays came, so I guess that bit of news kind of fizzled out somewhat. And now we're back to the grind again. The holidays are over, and a fresh report resurfaced that it was resealed or sealed back or sealed again. So I'd like for you to clear there. What exactly is the current state of your presidential campaign office in GRA in Port Harcourt?
Well, our campaign office was sealed, like you rightly know, on the 23rd of December last year, and I can still confirm to you that the campaign office is still under seal. So it has been sealed. There has not been any unsealing. I can authenticate the fact that it has been sealed. The only difference here is that the sealing came just at the verge of the holidays when we were no longer at work. We have closed most of the official activities of the presidential campaign as at when that happened. But now we have resumed, and having resumed, we are still working to see how that setback, which of course didn't go down well with party lovers and the people of Rivers State. I can tell you that the entire Rivers State and the entire PDP nationwide wasn't happy with that. And I'm sure that behind the scene, there is a lot of work being done to ensure that everybody has the freedom to campaign.
Did you receive, before I come to that question, are you aware as to who or what persons reportedly or allegedly unsealed the office at some point?
Like I have said, we have closed for the year when the sealing of the office was done. So I'm not even aware of a resealing. It has remained sealed because we haven't resumed office since after then.
And that means no activity since the sealing, nothing
because
has
when we talk about sealing, it was an official statement and then signified by the red tape. So if for any reason the adverse weather threw off the red tape or the seals fell off because the gum didn't gum it well on the wall, something could have happened. That doesn't mean it was unsealed. It simply means that the symbol of sealing fell off in one way or the other. But until an official statement comes back that it has been unsealed, you can't say it's unsealed. Speaking
of official statement, did you receive any communication from the Ministry of Urban and Physical Planning notifying you of the sealing of this building?
Yes, we did.
All right, and
we did.
And what has been the response of your party to that?
Well, it was quite disappointing because, like the order has specified, we applied for the use of that space to the Ministry of Urban Development, and of course, our application was acknowledged, and we had believed that having applied according to the provisions of the law, we should have the approval, and that responsibility and onus was on the government of Rivers State to do so. So coming to seal the place when that communication was still going on, and they have received letters from us, was quite disappointing. But I still believe that as it stands today, such actions should have been regretted, and we expect free space to campaign.
Right. And I believe you're also referring to the content of Executive Order number 22, which I'm quite certain you're aware, states that political parties like yours, or any other for that matter, cannot operate campaign offices in residential areas. And if they are to do so, they must seek the permission of the Ministry of Urban and Physical Planning, and they must get that permission before they can operate such a facility or a campaign office in residential areas. Prior to this communication which you talk about, and I'm asking you a two-pronged question here. The first is possibly, when did this communication take place exactly? At the time the communication took place, were you in violation of, was your party in violation of this Executive Order 22, which may have led to the sitting? I mean, if you're in violation of a law or an order of government, there must be consequences for that. So were you in violation of the Executive Order 22? And at what point exactly did you apply to the ministry for permission to make use of that facility for your campaign office?
Well, that facility has been under repairs after we took over that facility to use it as campaign office. First of all, there are basic necessities in extant laws that must be fulfilled when you want to pick up a facility.
Pardon me, can you hold that thought, please? We must go for a commercial break right about now. When we return, you give a response to that. It is Hard Fact to Nigeria in Food here in Port Harcourt. My guest, Dr. Nwibubasa, will be in the studio. When we return from the break, please stay with us. Okay, I'm actually heard back to Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt, to number one talk station. I'm Diet. About 4:30 p.m. right now. Discussions continue. And third discussion, River State government sealing the Atiku campaign office over violation of executive order, specifically Order 22. My guest in the studio, Dr. Leloonu Nwibubasa, spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council here in River State. Dr. Nwibubasa, welcome again.
Yeah, so that as well.
Before you get there, sorry. Join the conversation. We're live on facebook.com/NigerianForPH, also via Twitter @NigerianForPH. The lines to call will be opened in a moment. Before the break, I did ask you a question, a two-pronged question, just a quick reminder. The first part is, was your party in violation of Executive Order 22 as at the time the ministry sealed your office? And you made reference to having submitted an application. At the time, at what point did you submit that application? At that time, were you also in violation of Executive Order 22?
Well, we've not been in violation of the orders of the governor of River State, because I remember clearly that every condition for usage of that office was met. Like I said, we've made applications as early as in November, and the office also had not been officially opened. There were no billboards. Even you get there, there's no billboard signifying that it is a campaign office. However, because we are preparing to use it, we started coming in there to do a couple of fixing things together, trying to see what offices are available and what activities can take place there. So we are not in violation of the executive order in any way. And like I said, as responsible citizens and a responsible campaign organization, we've also written to the government. We have acknowledgement copies of the letters to the Ministry of Urban Planning seeking to use that. But let this be clear to everyone that when we said that the executive orders were targeted at the activities of the presidential candidate of the PDP, people thought that we were exaggerating. As of today, we have campaign offices running in the same GRA, that is a residential area. The governorship candidate of River State has his campaign office in just an equidistant from the Atiku Abubakar campaign office. We also have the Freedom House that has been in operation for the SDP candidate, and all these offices are running. And so, like we have said, this is a personal agenda being pursued by the governor against our presidential candidate. And that's why I say it always, because I'm gladdened today that members of the PDP in River State, all of us alike, we've all come to this conclusion and believe that, look, the problem between the governor is personal with the presidential candidate. So all of us are PDP and we are going to vote all PDP candidates. And that's the agreement. And that is exactly what's going on in River State. And that's my joy. And of course, this again has rubbed off on the population, and everybody is in tune with voting Atiku Abubakar as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria come the next election.
I mean, I'm sure that there's a reason your campaign council decided to have a campaign office. If it wasn't important or if it was irrelevant to the scheme of things, you would not go through all the fuss of, you said the place was probably acquired, monies were paid for it, no doubt. You talked about renovation work ongoing. A lot of resources must have been expended for that. And it was to serve a certain purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously, that purpose is to advance your cause of hopefully your candidate winning the election eventually. Now, do you not consider this to be a drawback, a setback of sorts? Because you still seem somewhat upbeat and optimistic about the whole thing, but your campaign office being shut right now, we've got less than 2 months to the elections, and you don't have a campaign office here in River State for your presidential candidate, based on what's going on thus far. Isn't that something that should cause you some worry?
Well, it may have caused us worry if we've not come to a time when technology has advanced a lot of things. You are aware that in 2020, the entire world was shut down for COVID, and people work from their homes, and offices were running, things were happening. And today, tell us why, if COVID can shut down everywhere and people still work, what is shutting down a campaign office to the PVCs of individuals that are going to vote? Campaign offices do not vote in election. It is human beings that vote. Campaign office is just for administrative purposes, and it makes work a little easier because people come together and work. But today we sit on our computers and every member of the campaign council can do Zoom meeting, we can talk, we relate to people, we will still do our campaigns, we still send messages. It only puts the person who closed down the campaign office in bad light. It strengthens the people who feel that they are being opposed to even do more to ensure that they upturn all obstacles. So closing down your campaign office, in one way, yes, it could have affected us. But because the Atiku Presidential Campaign Council is manned by highly intelligent people that has all the strategy of winning election, and they've been doing that even for the governor of Rivers State. They were all the people that won election here alongside with him. And so we can't but do more now that the challenge is on us to deliver Atiku in Rivers State.
All right. You say that you had applied to the ministry to use that facility since, correct me if I'm wrong, November?
Yes.
Right? November
yes.
last year. You have an acknowledged copy
Oh, yes.
of that letter. Has there been any other correspondence, either approving your request or even denying it, saying you can't use that facility? Has there been any other correspondence at all?
Well, our responsibility was to apply. The onus and responsibility of government was to reply. Like I said, we only received an acknowledgement copy and we expected a response. I'm also aware that in one of the public gatherings, the governor mentioned this, that for the use of the space of the Labour Party for the rally, that there was an application and then they approved it. So it means the governor is in the know of approval. And so, having received our letter, we are also expecting that the governor is in the know and so should have approved. And so we are still expecting that approval will be given.
Now, since you have not received a reply, to borrow the expression you just used, and your campaign office has been sealed, as it were, have you thought to communicate further with the ministry to find out the status of your application and why your campaign office has been sealed, even though you've not received any official word on the status of your application from the ministry?
There are many things that we are doing that I can't come on the radio to say them. The truth is, we won't sit back or lay back or move away from doing what we ought to do because our campaign office is shut down. We are reaching out, even to the government. We are reaching out through all legal means. We are reaching out because we understand it clearly that our right to freedom of association and our right to lawful assembly, peaceful and lawful assembly, is being breached. And so we will use all means possible to upturn all sadistic obstacle against the free flow of the Atiku campaign in Rivers State.
And who are the persons who are employing these sadistic approaches?
Like I've said, Rivers State is one in the PDP to vote Atiku. I've clearly said it here that our problems in the PDP has been so identified and we have narrowed it that it is a personal problem between our presidential candidate and the governor. And so we are expecting that gap will be closed so that even those that are supporting Nicodemously, even those that are supporting from the back can come out openly. You know, everybody needs that freedom to exercise their desire.
You talked about your rights being violated. Is the Atiku Okowa Campaign Council in Rivers State considering going to the court to seek redress on the matter of your office being sealed?
Like I've said, we are using every legal means, every means within the law. It may include, but not, it includes so many options.
Which ones have you taken already, and which ones do you intend to take going forward?
We are doing consultation. Some of these matters can be, we don't need to overburden the court some of the times, or you can start with consultation. You can start with genuine a reconciliatory process to see where the differences are. We are doing all that. And then if the last resort, we can also ask the court to interpret. If people don't have right to gather to advance a cause that is lawful under the law.
Barry Iyorchia Ayu, your party's chairman, leaving that position, which has been the demand of the Rivers State governor and possibly other members of the G5 all along, as the only condition to maintain fences. Barring that happen, and considering your position a while ago that the Rivers State governor must be in the know as to approvals being granted to political parties, barring once again, are you stepping down as chairman, do you see the Rivers State governor maintaining fences with a presidential candidate and thus giving the go-ahead for your party's, for your campaign office to be reopened?
Well, let me say that why because we've been on this issue of the issues between the national leadership of the party and our esteemed leader of the party here, the governor of Rivers State. You know, if you get your information round, you will discover that even in other states where the G5 governors come from, campaign for the presidential candidate has been going on unimpeded in Abia State, in Enugu State, in Benue State, in Kwara State. So that's why I said we can't even be talking of G5
I think you mean Oyo State.
Sorry, in Oyo State, I'm sorry about that, where Makinde is coming from. Yeah. So this campaign has been going on unimpeded. You will never have an issue where you hear that a member of PDP was stopped from doing anything. So we eventually concluded and reduced that this matter is personal between our governor. So I'm expecting that because the matter is no longer a global issue, as it were, that such personal issues may be eventually sorted out and we may find common grounds.
Join the conversation now, if you will. Lines open. Number to call is 0700 923 0923. That's 0700 923 0923. A reminder, we're live on facebook.com/NigeriaInfoPH. We're live on Twitter as well, at NigeriaInfoPH. Keep it brief, straight to the point. And once the call is answered, also please to turn off your radio set as well so we could have a conversation. I've got some comments via Facebook. Good news, Uwam goes. Wike is causing big harm to his followers in Rivers State. They will reject him tomorrow. I wish him well. Ned Argument goes. The executive order by the governor is not only draconian, it is an affront on democracy and alien to Nigerians. Just because the governor lost an election, he has decided to tear the Nigerian constitution, to turn the Nigerian constitution upside down, and Rivers people must speak out before it leads to anarchy. Let's see. And Elvis Amegwa goes, the truth remains the truth. Listen to what your guest, the doctor, is saying. The issue is that Atiku is in the mind of the people. The governor should remember that power is transient. I've got Miriam on the line from Africa. Hello, you're welcome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Dayo. My name is Miriam.
Go ahead, please.
I encourage us to call and try to input our own quota in national development. And these are the reasons why some of us are calling, are started calling. And I thank you for asking him very important questions. If the PDP in Rivers State is united, if they are still one. But Dayo, with his answer, I think not. I think unfortunately the PDP is suffering the fate of the APC. We've now had two factions of the PDP in Rivers State. It's so unfortunate. And you also ask him if their office, their office came up before this their order. And I thank him for the answers, and it has enlightened us so much. But I want to ask him, are they going through the right channels to open their office, to unseal it? Or is it that they are just writing letters to the governor begging him? Can they not go to court? Or is it too late to go to court?
Miro, I asked him, if you haven't listened to the conversation thus far, I did ask him these questions, and those matters have been dealt with extensively, and I hope you caught when I asked those questions and I gave responses to that. Maxwell from Uji, welcome. Or Maxwell, call back if you can, please. That's it. Back to Facebook, Legit Njoko goes, the PDP here in the state should know what goes around must surely come around. Ken Osiri goes, it's politics. River State government is trying to tell them that they own River State. Agreement is what? Agreement, thank you. And Felix Alfred goes, Wike is playing politics in River State. Allow others to campaign. Back to phone lines. I got Micah from Burikiri. Micah, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Right, good evening.
Go ahead, please.
My contribution, I just want to say to Doc, my surprise is that people like you, and I will also mention people like SDP and their candidates are keeping quiet. And what I mean is that I don't subscribe to violence. Then you ask you and you say you're consulting. These parties, the big parties that I'm expecting in River State, even the accord, will wait until 28 minutes before we start reacting. We can go to court, we can protest. Nobody has done that. I saw that in 2015, 2015, 2019. People reacted when they feel that they have treated unjustly. And what I'm just looking at, I don't know, everybody, all of you are just keeping quiet and then the sympathizers are just watching. If you don't want to react, fine, I'm not saying violently, but you can go to court on time, you can protest. So somebody going against the constitution says that you don't have right to assemble, you don't have, politics is politics, it has been opened up. I think everything about politics now, if you do it, it's legal. You advertise, you do rally, you open your campaign offices, and then somebody says it's above the law, and then the people, the actors are keeping quiet. Well, if that's so be it, if that's what people want. Thank you.
Doctor, your response to that?
Yes, Michael.
Micah.
Okay, Micah. Well, let me state clearly that we've never been quiet, and we'll always speak up. Strategies may differ, but when the executive order was promulgated, I'm sure you know that every person was worried. We did a lot of work for the IGP and the National Security Advisor to come out boldly and told Nigerians that no governor, no law can stifle anyone from campaigning and from gathering. And that's to tell you that if such orders have come from the police high command and from the National Security Advisor, ab initio, those orders are disabled, because you do not expect that security agencies will come and implement and enforce such orders that are inimical to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And when we also discovered that the governor started recruiting people within the local governments to use them to, also implement these orders. The NSA also came out very clearly that if talks are used to implement such orders, that the security agencies will also come very hard on that. So it was not just something that made these arms of the security agencies wake up to say. It is because people has been walking, people has been protesting. Protest is not just walking on the streets. Protest can be on the pages of papers, can be on the pages of letters, can be in phone calls, can be in strong consultations, can be in strong warnings. Things that happen behind the scene are not enough. Petitions has also been raised, not just to agencies within Nigeria, but even to the international communities. We've held a lot of press conferences, and we have called on international organizations, including civil rights organizations, to look inward and look at River State very critically. And so all these things amount to pressure to stop the kind of injustice and, of course, tyranny that was creeping into River State political space.
We got Eze from Gunabali. Eze, you're welcome. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Mr. Daniel, good afternoon.
All right, go ahead, Eze.
Yeah, congratulations.
Eze, go ahead. Straight to your comment or question, please.
Okay, what I want to say is about the closure of PDP office at GRA. Daniel, I see all these things as a case of fear. When somebody becomes afraid, that is what it results. If he is not afraid, he won't begin to close up all this or begin to put all this executive order is as a result of fear, because they brought a popular candidate. So for me, I know that at the end shall justify the means. I think that is what I'm going to say. So let everybody just keep across and see what the people will decide at the right time. So all these things. But I want to tell you something. You see this executive order 21 and 23 and 21 and 22. If his candidate loses election during this election, he will see before he will go out, he will want to expunge it from this thing. Just mark my word, because he do it other parties. So if at the end they
presenting executive order, exactly. If what the governor has done using a legal term to create an executive order, I don't think it's wrong for any political party who is aggrieved or who is not satisfied by that order to go to court. We have laws of the land. Unlike what your presenter is saying there, that the PDP problem has been resolved. That what they find out is a personal problem between Governor Wike and their presidential candidate Atiku, which is not true. It's lies. Let them not give us problem in the state. Me particularly, even at the particular problem on ground now, if Wike wakes up tomorrow morning and say for that reason that he's telling us to vote Atiku, I will personally insult me at Governor Wike. It's not for Governor Wike's issue. This is a grief Sata PDP's issue. So let him not be personalized to Mr. Wike. It's not Wike, because Wike is the one speaking for us. But it's not speaking, it's not Wike problem. It's our Satan PDP problem. It's River State PDP problem. So let him not create a problem for us. Because for what he's telling you there is misleading the public that the problem they find out is between Wike and Atiku, which is not true.
Paul, your position has been made very clearly. Good to hear from you. Doc, your response to that, please.
Well, there's no much response I can give to Paul, because if Paul has been following the issues from the beginning, he would have had adequate knowledge to make him make his contributions clearly. There is no Southern issue. If there was a Southern issue and South felt marginalized, Southern people should have protested when the committee that was set up to zone the presidency threw it open. That was the point, where South will say, no, you should have zoned it to the South. And so even the governor he's talking about today should have withdrawn from the race. Peter Obi did in Labour Party and said, if you can't zone it to the Southeast, then I leave the PDP. And he went to Labour Party because he felt Southeast has not produced the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so if you don't allow it, I move out. But the committee that was headed by Otom, the governor of Benue State, and had representative from the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including a representative from Rivers State, unanimously agreed that the presidential ticket should be thrown open. At that point, that's when people who feel that they are speaking for the South should have come up to tell us that we love the South and this will not happen. But all of them participated in the election. The moment you subscribe to that participation, it means you've accepted this is now the status quo. And if you lose in a free and fair election, of course, why will you now come back after contesting in the same election, after participating in the zoning and throwing it open to say that the South is being marginalized? There's no marginalization in the South. And let me tell you, no one is speaking for the South, and nobody is more Southern than the other. And it seems people forget so easily that the South, some years back, benefited to be vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the person of Jonathan. And it didn't take a long time, we became the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Buhari took over from Jonathan. And today the South, again, has been blessed with having a vice presidential candidate in the person of Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. And so tell me, in which way will someone say that the South was not remembered or is not remembered in the scheme of things in the PDP? If you also want to talk about marginalization, I want to state it clearly. The same national chairman that we are crying about today, a fortnight ago, we had it in Rivers State in the person of Uche Secondus. Please don't be deceived. No one is fighting for the South. Someone is fighting for his personal interest, and we want that interest to come to an end for the interest of all.
On that note, we have to wrap up the conversation. Thanks for listening. Thanks to my guest, Dr. Leloonu Nwibubasa, spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council in Rivers State. Many thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Commercial break coming up right now. Top of the hour, the news update comes up. Discussions continue after that. Stay with us.